Proximity is power. The people you surround yourself with, the mindset that they have, how they grow in their life. My mom used to always tell me that if you show me your friends, I'll tell you who you are. Well, today I'm going to show you who my friends are and just how powerful these ladies are right after this. What is mindset? Our mindset is based on what we believe, and anything we believe in, we put into motion. I have spent my life putting the mindset of perseverance into motion, and now I am here today to share my journey along with others whose mindsets have changed the course of their lives. Hi, I'm mindset coach Lorraine Lindsey, and I believe that if you can change your mind, you have the power to change your life. So are you ready? Welcome back to another episode of the Lorraine Lindsey Podcast. We are mindsetters here. I believe that if you can change your mind, you have the power to change your life. And so I am here in studio. This one is for the ladies. Anybody can listen, but it's especially for the ladies. I really wanted to get a group of women who I think are powerful women, who are women that are in my circle, to talk about their mindset, their struggles, their obstacles, and their endeavors. So without further ado, because we've got a lot to talk about, I've got a lot of brains to pick here. Let me introduce these amazing, amazing women. Our first guest today is Miss Amy Lynn, and today I am thrilled to welcome Amy Lynn. She is a distinguished fashion designer and stylist who spent the past 15 years making a significant impact into the fashion industry. Amy's expertise is remarkably diverse, ranging from red carpet styling and restyle transformations to creating stunning editorial looks, orchestrating runway productions, and designing costume couture pieces. She's also known for curating client closets and crafting thoughtfully curated capsule collections. Amy believes that what you wear is a direct reflection of how you feel inside. This philosophy drives her work as she collaborates with clients to not only enhance their appearance, but also boost their confidence and sense of empowerment. Her ultimate goal is to help clients develop a personal style that truly reflects the unique personality, preferences, and lifestyle. What truly sets Amy apart is her ability to forge lasting friendships with her clients. She sees each collaboration as more than just providing fashion advice. It's about building a genuine connection. Amy draws inspiration from her clients' stories and perspectives, which continually shape her creative vision and keeps her in tune with her ever-evolving world of fashion. With Amy, you can expect a personalized, transformative experience that goes beyond just looking good. It's about feeling empowered and confident in every aspect of your life. Amy, so happy to have you.
I'm so happy to be on.
You are a gem, and we'll talk about how we met and how our relationship is just forever flourishing and how you're connecting me to these other beautiful, powerful women. So let me give an introduction to my next guest. This is Miss Marie Matucci. A little bit about Marie. Marie began her modeling career at an early age, gracing the runway by her preteen years. At 17, she moved to Los Angeles under a prestigious modeling contract, where she further developed her passion for beauty and skincare. Committed to enhancing her craft, she pursued aesthetics, focusing on skincare. In 2021, Marie relocated to Las Vegas, where her entrepreneurial spirit flourished. By 2022, she launched her skincare line, which by 2024 was being sold on the iconic Las Vegas Boulevard and various casinos featured at the store called Beauty Avenue. Let me welcome Miss Marie Matucci. And how are you, Marie?
So happy to be here.
I am so happy to have you. And you've got some exciting things going on, too. And we're going to talk about that and so much more. And my last but not last, is that how you say the expression? I was so excited to introduce her. I jumped the gun ahead of time. So we've got Miss Rashida Azizi. And a little bit about Rashida. It is my honor to introduce her. She's a remarkable woman whose journey from Afghan refugee to a global advocate for women's empowerment and social change is truly inspiring. Rashida is not only a mother and a cancer survivor, but she's also earned the title of Miss Elegance of Europe, Miss Hessen, in Germany, and was a runner-up in Miss Germany pageant. Her life is a testament to resilience and strength. With a strong background in community development and a deep belief in the power of collective action, Rashida has dedicated herself to championing the rights and opportunities of women worldwide. Her unwavering vision for a more equitable society fuels her work, inspiring others to join the fight for gender equality. Through her leadership, Global Powerful Women has become a beacon of hope, empowering women to realize their potential and creating a brighter, more inclusive future for generations to come. So as you can see here, Rashida, thank you for being here. I am in a room. When I say proximity is power, I am literally surrounded by some very powerful women. And what I wanted to do today, because my audience that is watching are vastly women. And one of the questions that I get a lot is, how do we get to be these aspiring women, these women that we look at, these strong, powerful women? Because what I find is that whether you're doing women networking or you're around women, when they see strong, powerful women, some of those women are intimidated to even have conversations or to even understand, how did we all get to the position that we're in? So I wanted to pick everybody's brains, talk about these little different categories that women actually struggle with, and so they can see that we're just human too.
Yes.
Right?
True.
So the first thing I want to tap into, ladies, is finding purpose, right? And the thing about purpose is, how do you discover your purpose for your life? And what was the journey like to align your purpose with your personal life? Who wants to answer that?
Yeah. For me, was always looking for a purpose my whole life. But for everybody, the purpose is very, very different. But for me, is just to be present and to be there and give your best and be true and just be present. So that's the purpose, and just be happy. And yeah.
I love that, because it's true, right? I think sometimes when we think about purpose, number one, we start to think that it has to be this grandiose thing, especially when we're in a world of social media where there's all these influencers and people that seem to be doing really big things. Sometimes we think our purpose is so far ahead of us that we don't even think it's attainable. And so I love that you said that. It's like being present. Start there. That's a great stepping stone to say, what version of myself do I want to be today? And let me be present in that, and let me be purposeful in that. What do you think, Amy?
It's being content with yourself. I didn't go to college for fashion. I knew my purpose when I was very young. I knew I wanted to dress women. I knew that I wanted to help them express the inside with the outside. And I had no support, no help. And I opened my business at 23, and very quickly, because for me, it was unstoppable force. It was an unstoppable force. No one was going to stop me. And I knew that if I believed in myself enough, I could attain it. And it's scary. It's like jumping off of a cliff when you open up a business, or when you're doing something new and you don't know where you're going to go. But that is the time where you shine the brightest. And for me, that was dressing women.
I love that.
Wow.
What I love is that whatever limitations that most people would have assumed was there, like you said, I didn't go to school. I just knew I didn't go to school specifically looking for the thing. The thing was already in me, and I just needed the avenue to get to it. And I think that's also something when we look to being purposeful in our lives, is tapping in. What is the fulfillment I want? What is the experience? What do I want to feel? What is the contribution based on that? Especially as a coach, that was one of the things when I first started coaching, thinking, well, what am I going to teach people or coach people? What am I going to talk about? And I needed to tap into self and say, well, what does she need? What did she need 5 years ago? What did she need 10 years ago? And can I be passionate enough about that to create a purpose from it? What about you, Miss Marie?
Well, I'm a single mother of 2 boys. They're 14 and 11. And I tell them, figure out what you like and then figure out a way to make money from that. And so for me, I grew up modeling. I always had a passion for skincare. I didn't necessarily see myself doing it as a career until later on in life. After I had 2 boys, I had 5 people in 1 week say to me, you should get your aesthetics license. And next thing I knew, I was in school getting my aesthetics license. Then I realized, I would really love to start my own skincare line, because I'm so passionate about this, and I had been collecting so much knowledge working on people's faces. And I figured out a way to do it, and I went for it. So it really falls back on, what do you love?
Right.
I loved skincare. I loved helping people with their skin concerns long before I ever got my license.
Yeah.
And so I just found a way to turn it into a career.
I think that's interesting what you said, because here's the thing with purpose too, is that it's not static, right? It changes and evolves over time. Like at one point as a single mother, my sole purpose was to be the best mom I could be for him in whatever capacity I could do. And that was just my driving force. And when he became a young adult and was on his own and self-sufficient, that part of my purpose, I could hang the hat up. And so I had to kind of rediscover self because I was so identified. My identity construct was mom, and I had to rediscover who she was so I could find a new purpose for myself. And so whenever you're discovering purpose and realizing your purpose, there's never a time that's too late to evolve it into something, especially now. I mean, now there's a big thing with online education and coaching, and there's so many different platforms that you could actually create work and income and stuff doing the things that you love, because you will find your tribe that loves what you love. So another question I have for you ladies is, what challenges have you faced in staying true to your purpose, and how do you feel like you overcame that?
She looks at me.
Well, I'll tell you, for me, I feel like for me, one of the biggest challenges I've had is that the thing that I feel is purposeful in my life is also the thorn in my side. It is the thing that I can't shake and get rid of. I think about it all the time, and when I try to dismiss it and do other things, it finds its way of coming back. But with that, you know, they say, as much is given, much is required. And so when you feel something inside of you kind of in its gestation, when it's growing inside of you, there's a painful part of giving birth to that thing. And I think that that is the part of our lives when we are looking for purpose, especially if we're looking to do something great with that purpose, that a lot of people don't talk about. They talk about the pursuit of purpose and how I know what my purpose is, but they don't necessarily talk about the pain that comes behind that. And so for me, knowing that I wanted to coach, knowing that I wanted to give, I had to really tap in at times, because at times it was overwhelming for me. It was like the thing I needed to do, but didn't know where to start, kind of thing. And so for me, that was something where I had to kind of digress a little bit and say, all right, am I sure that I really want to do this? And why am I choosing this thing? And what was interesting is when I first started coaching, and the topics in which I was coaching was actually really rooted in pain. It was me leveraging the pain that I experienced and wanting to give it to other people. But what I had realized was that it wasn't something that I actually wanted to coach long term, because it kept me in my trauma. And even in purpose, I had to discover why that was my purpose, and maybe and redefining that for myself, so it wasn't sucking the life out of me. So that's my example of that. Does anyone else want to share kind of?
Well, I am part of women's empowerment, and where I am coming from, the challenges to find yourself, to oh God, sorry.
No, it's okay.
I'm getting a little emotional
No,
because
it's okay.
yeah, where I'm coming from, a lot of women around the world, they don't have a voice, and to have that voice and to speak, and it's just very honoring, and that was the challenges that you are, able to speak about it, and it's just amazing how much you can help other women when you do that, and yeah.
I think that's powerful, because it's giving women their voice, coming from a place and an environment and a culture where women didn't have that. And being able to say, that's my purpose, because I know what it's like not to have my voice, and to find a way to give women their voice. So I think that's powerful.
And you have to remember, you have to be challenged in order to grow.
Absolutely.
You cannot have growth without challenges, traumas, pain. Everything from there pushes you from the ground up. So in business or in a successful relationship, friendships, whatever you're doing, whatever the endeavor is, you have to know that you're going to face something, but those some things are what either define, depending on how your outlook is, or it can be destruct. So I think it's all about having that confidence that no matter what I face, I will pursue it. I will come out on the other end stronger, better, more successful as a mother, as a businesswoman, as a friend, whatever it is, than you were before.
Yeah,
absolutely. Did you want to add to that?
I think if there's any challenge in my life, it's, I spread myself very thin, and then trying to stay 100% to each situation I'm in, because I want to show up 100%. So, I got to be 100% all day at my spa. I'm creating an entire skincare line right now. I'm expanding my line, building a corporation, giving that 100%, and then going home to 2 boys with no other parent in the house, just me. So giving 100% of myself to my home and my family. It's a lot, and I'm doing it.
Yeah.
But it's challenging.
How do you
for
find the
sure.
balance in that, or do you?
I don't know. I just do it. People say, how do you do it all? I'm like, I don't know. But I just show up and I just try and stay in the moment. Whatever moment I'm in, I'm in that moment, whether it's out with you guys, right? And just being there and listening, sharing with everyone, or being at home, being a mom, giving myself 100% at all times,
Yeah.
whatever situation I'm in. I don't know.
It's kind of
it's
circles
coming from the
back.
heart.
It circles back to what you were saying, Rashida,
Yes.
being present, right? Because if you show up 100% you to the thing in which you're present in, then you can be 100% that in that moment, and taking ownership of that. So and this was hard for me when my son was younger. I remember literally having a meltdown in my life thinking, I'm not doing enough for him. I'm not sufficient enough. I'm not giving him enough time. And the big epiphany that I had, I was listening to a Christian radio actually, and there was a pastor, and he said, quality over quantity.
Right.
And it was like that message that I needed to hear at that time,
Yeah.
because I felt so spread thin. And I said, I may not have all the time in the world to give to my son, but I can definitely improve the quality of time that I give to him. And so I can be present with him and give him 100%, because I have to show up 100%. But when I go to work, that same person has to show up 100% for that. And it's like taking the hat off and putting the other one on.
Yeah.
And do you necessarily find balance in that? No, but you can find balance in being self and showing up 100% of whatever that version of yourself is for that cause, if that makes sense.
Right.
Yeah,
And I think
definitely.
that's how you can give yourself some grace, is how do I show up 100% me, being present for that thing,
Correct. My mother always said, remember, and this is when I was a young child, everybody is showing up the best version that they can. When you do the best you can and you accept that you're doing the best you can, then you're not looking at yourself in a negative manner, like I'm not good enough, I'm not doing enough. You're doing the best you can. We all are. That's all we can do.
And that's where you got to check in, right? You have to ask yourself sometimes, is this the best version of self at
I think
this
we
moment?
ask ourselves that all the time.
Sometimes I forget.
I mean, am I doing enough? And that question is always for my children.
Yeah.
Am I doing enough? I feel like making their favorite meals and things like that. That's how I show my love, and being affectionate and telling them how much I love them. But it's hard.
How would you tell a young girl to be her true self in a place where she didn't feel safe to do so? What advice would you give a young woman for that?
Yeah, they just have to love themselves and be brave, and be very brave. And that's what I learned from that little girl, that you are enough. You are brave. You just have to keep going and love yourself. And yeah, it is important that we also, as adults, we show little girls or younger that we express ourselves in a true way, that they see you don't have to be perfect. You don't have to be certain way that your love get accepted, actually. So that's really important. So
Interesting. I love that you said that your love doesn't have to be accepted. It's understanding your own abundance. And also, too, that we have to tap into our own little girls, because they're still in us. And we put on so many duties and responsibilities as women that sometimes we don't nurture the little girl that's inside of us. And that when I was doing a lot of work and a lot of heavy lifting and doing some healing work, I didn't realize that my 10-year-old self was dictating a lot of my life. She had some narratives that were showing up at 20s and 30s. And so I had to have a conversation with her and say, I'm sorry, I've been ignoring you for so long. Let's get to this. Let me show you that we're going to be just fine. Because she created narratives that created outcomes.
Right.
I had these personalities thinking that these were strong suits of armor, but they were protective suits of armor.
Mm-hmm.
And so instead of me protecting all the time myself, sometimes I was projecting onto myself
Mm-hmm.
and ending up in careers that I didn't want, even though they were seemingly powerful, in relationships where I'm butting heads, all because I thought I was strong. But it was like the weakness in me that had armor on that was controlling my life, and really having to say, the little girl is running amok in my life.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
You have to always admire her. And,
Yeah.
You know.
I think vulnerability is strength.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
It is.
Whenever I see someone just so sort of strong and arrogant or something like this, I think, oh, poor them. There's, I see it as a sign of weakness. When someone comes across as vulnerable, I mean, you can still be strong
and be vulnerable. Yeah.
You absolutely can be.
And how do we do that? Because I don't think everybody's privy to our vulnerability.
I think it's just authenticity.
Mm-hmm.
Just to be authentic.
Amen.
Yeah. Just to be authentic.
Yeah, love
Mhm.
that.
And not putting some show on for people, trying to show people how strong you are.
The
It's just,
sexiest thing you could wear is your true authentic self.
That's right.
yeah,
And when you are authentic, you attract authenticity.
Mm.
So
that is
going
for
back
sure.
to proximity, if you're authentic and you attract others who are authentic, it's the old quote, iron sharpens iron.
Yeah.
So you can create for yourself a group of women, whatever, or men, women, whatever. And you want to be surrounding yourself through those who inspire you, who are more successful than you, who are making more money than you, and those who are not, and everybody in between, because you all level each other up.
Absolutely.
I
I
think
love
that
that
is
you
the
said that.
most
Yeah.
important aspect of
I love that you
proximity.
said that, because you hear a lot, surround yourself with like minds. Well, yes and no, because if you're not where you want to be and you stay with like-minded people, then you all are going to stay in the same space.
Correct.
Mhm.
But it's good to have like-minded people that have the same aspirations. But then you also want to be in spaces where you go where people level you up. But then you should have people behind you that you want to help lift as well. And I think that's sometimes the misconception, right? When we say proximity is power, it's just tuning in and tapping in, being well rounded in your intention to say the people that are maybe not where I'm at, what's their mindset still? Are they not where they're at because they're in a fixed mindset, or are they not where they're at because their mindset is growth and just haven't gotten there yet? Because I have to be mindful of sticking around with people who are fixated and staying where they're at, because it'll pull me down. But if they're willing to grow, I can be in that space with them just as much as the like-minded people who are willing to grow. The point is, it's like I could be anywhere in the room, but if I'm not around people who have openness to grow and a growth mindset, it's going to be contagious and cause me to be fixated.
Correct.
And so that's powerful. I love that you said vulnerability, because there was a question here about vulnerability. Miss Marie, can you describe a time in your life when you felt vulnerable, and how did you navigate through that?
Oh, when I got divorced and moved to a brand new state in a new city where I knew absolutely no one, and having to start a brand new career that depends on a clientele, and I had not one client. So that was scary. I mean, I have been on my own since I was 17 years old, right? Except up until the point where I got married, and then I was with someone for 16 years. So to go back out on my own is one thing, but to go back out on your own now with 2 children under your wing that you're responsible for, it is a whole other level. And now all of a sudden, I'm in a survival mode like never before. I don't have anybody to fall back on. It all comes down to me. And so I had to work my butt off and fast in this town. And I did.
Yes,
I was very, I mean, fortunately, and not to sound arrogant, I'm good at what I do. So when I got a job, I went in and did my job very well, and word spread quickly. And so that I have a talent in what I'm doing and a passion, thank God. But it does, I mean, it was very scary. I was talk about vulnerable, and I just, you have to put on that suit of armor for your kids' sake. And they observed everything. They still, I was saying to somebody last night, in the middle of building a corporation, I involve my 2 boys
Love that.
every step of the way. I was in some pretty big contract negotiations in June, and I would go through the contract with them and say,
love
look at
that.
this. Do you see how this could put me in a vulnerable position? And what would you do if you were me? Because I want them to see everything I'm doing. I want them to maybe be inspired. And, maybe something I'm doing now might help them in the future.
Absolutely.
And I also want them to see how hard this is and how much there is to it. Hey guys, I'm just building a skincare line. No big deal. No, they're seeing every single thing. I'm including them. I'm choosing bottles and jars right now, and I'm bringing them home. And what do you guys think about this? And choose your favorites. I'm just curious. I want to know your opinion because I want them to really have a full understanding of how hard and how many branches to the tree there are. It's a lot.
But it's powerful to understand that because then you can anticipate things better and navigate your way through that. If it's like if we put our head in the sand and go through life blindly, we'll find ourselves stuck with our head in the sand. And I think that what you're doing is powerful for your boys because it's like, here it is. If you want it, this is what it really takes.
Yeah.
And by the way, that builds so much strength, inner strength, when you can say, this is the thing, but it's not I need to, want to, it's I must. And when you can change that must, that thing that you need to do into I must do this, it just happens,
And my boys know that no one's coming to save me. My boys know that I'm doing this on my own. And they come home, they've got a mom who's working all day and they know what I'm doing. They know what my work entails. And they come home to a cooked meal and the house is pretty clean and their clothes are always clean. So I think that they really do understand. I think they do.
And appreciate, I'm certain.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think so.
Yeah.
And I think that that's really important, whether you're married or not, to include them.
Absolutely.
So they can see how much.
So they can see life.
And
they can learn coping and they can learn how to deal. One of the things that I even for me in true candor, having gone through and lived in a really rough life and had a crazy childhood and all of that stuff. At one point, I was a young mother. I left home when I was 16 and had my son when I was 17. But I thought for the longest time I was protecting my son from a lot of things. And what I was doing was I was projecting onto him the things that I had been through and overly protecting him sometimes from feeling hurt or feeling struggle or feeling this or feeling that. But what was the payoff to that was, did I not teach him a way to cope in life? Was I so coddling and so protective that when he goes out into the real world, what is he going to do? How's he going to experience things? And so there was a point when I started to realize that, and I had to kind of like rustle his world up a little bit. I sent him literally to other countries to be with kids in poverty, to help take care of their communities. And I did all these radical things to kind of take him out of this bubble I had created him, because at one point I realized I am not protecting him, I'm projecting onto him. And there is a difference.
Don't you think we do that when they're young? And then once they get a little bit older, I realize I better start making fun of these kids and building their character.
I think you're a great mother. And had I interviewed mothers before I dated back in the day, I would have made better choices, because there are some mothers who will never stop coddling their kids. They will coddle their boys, and their boys will become mama boy. And I have a mama's boy, but I don't coddle him.
I do.
You know what I mean? I let him be a man. I feel like that's my responsibility. Let your son be a man, because that's what he is. So I don't overly coddle him, but I know, I've been in relationships where the man was really coddled, overly coddled by his mother, and he has no ownership for self.
Yeah.
That is a problem.
When my oldest turned 14, I said, you're the man of the house now. And I'm still your mother, but I'm going to start treating you in that way, because I want you to start owning your masculinity, and I want you to start taking some responsibility. You're growing into a man. But I still think that it is important to, I don't want to say bully your kids a little bit, but I definitely take.
You got to keep it tough.
cracks
You got to
at
have.
their
There's got to be tough
expense.
love.
Yeah.
There has to be, in
there
my
has
opinion.
to.
Yeah.
I think the balance, finding that balance, I sure give them a lot of love and encouragement and
Yeah.
everything. But if I see something where I can take a shot at them and it's really funny, I'm going to take that
Yeah.
shot. Yeah.
I used to tell my son, my job is not to get you to like me. And I said, and I just want to let you know, no matter how angry you are about what I'm telling you right now, you don't get to take my love.
Yeah.
I'm always going to love you regardless how you feel about me. But
Right.
there will be different stages of this relationship that you and I have. I said, when you're young, I'm raising you. I'm teaching you manners and disciplines and things like that. When you get to high school, that's probably going to be the 4 years of your life that you won't like me at all.
Mhm.
And that's okay. I'm okay with it because I'm going to be very much a parent and I'm going to be very much setting rules and boundaries. We're not friends while you're in high school.
Mhm.
Now, when you become a young adult, then our friendship can evolve. But those will be different stages. And so I just kind of had to prep him and let him know because, I needed to set the stage. I was not about to have any situations that I didn't have to deal with. So I want to tap into a little bit because you said something very interesting when you talked about the most vulnerable time in your life.
Yeah.
One of the things that I heard you say was you were confident in who you were and your ability to do a thing.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that is so powerful. That is such a superpower to say, I'm in this situation. I'm feeling vulnerable. These are the things that are happening in my life. These are the circumstances. But where can I draw strength inwardly to be secure in who I am, to know that I could forge ahead even though I'm feeling incredibly weak and vulnerable? So I wanted to talk to you ladies about times in your life where you can share overcoming obstacles, overcoming setbacks for your lives, and how you were able to kind of hone in to your superpower, your super self, to kind of overcome those obstacles for your life. Because I think a lot of people struggle with that actually.
For me, so I've only been in Vegas for a year as of like 2 weeks ago. And I moved here to co-parent. I'm a single mother of 3, to co-parent with my ex-husband who has lived here for a few years. I gave up my entire company, my entire business that I've owned for 17 years, moved to a whole new city, start from scratch, no friends here. And in 1 year was able to forge the most incredible friendships. And I am so thankful that God has blessed me with so many opportunities in my industry, which is branding, styling, photo shoot, fashion here in this town, to make a stamp of my own. But I learned through that there is so much power in vulnerability.
Mm-hmm.
And not only just for me, but for my children to see, for my daughters to see that I'm sacrificing everything that I had where I was from, which was a lot of clients, a lot of success, my stores, my clothing lines, everything, to come here with nothing and to start fresh. And I had to change the mindset of, yes, I'm vulnerable, but how can I use it as my power?
Yes, I love that.
And I used it as my power, and I translated it to being unstoppable. It doesn't matter. No one's going to stop me from doing it. That passion, it's power turned to passion.
Mm.
And I took that passion, and I'm so thankful for all your friendships and all your support, but was able to take vulnerability from power to passion and translate it.
And
I
how?
think that's
Like
the ultimate.
specifically for you, because a year and your tribe and the people you surround yourself with, your community that you've built around yourself, what would you say was the thing that for you inwardly was like, I know this is my superpower. I know that this is something that I'm really good at, that helped you to build that in your vulnerable state?
For me, it's the confidence in the gift. I know my gift, right?
Mm-hmm.
And if you know your gift, you are unstoppable with being able to use it. And you use it in ways you can. Coming here, I didn't have the platform that I have now. I had to just meet different women, iron sharpens iron, women that were like-minded or not like-minded, and tell them about myself, tell them what I offer, show them. I had to show and prove it, but I believed it because it's my confidence, it's my gift. It's a God-given gift in my eyes. And how can I use that? And if you take all of that and you put it in your hands, you realize you can do anything you want.
Mm-hmm.
You're literally unstoppable.
I love that.
And you're the only one held accountable for the failure. It's you not believing in yourself. It's you giving up on yourself. You hold your own power. And when you realize that, you're unstoppable.
So what do we do? Let me ask you ladies this. What do we say to women who have just been, they're just in a dark place. Everything's coming at them. It's just mounting. And they've lost a sense of who they are. They don't know how to extract that thing that they're good at because they feel depleted. They feel like, I don't have what she has. I don't have what they have. I'm just a shell of myself. How would we inspire a woman to discover and rediscover who she feels that she's lost?
I think you need to shut off all the noise.
Mm-hmm.
You need to get off Instagram and quiet down. And you really need to look within yourself, meditate, get quiet. Sometimes we have to figure out who we are without certain people, like when we go through a divorce or things like that.
Yeah.
That was something I lost myself a bit through my marriage. I think a lot of women do.
Mm-hmm.
You sort of conform to fit what you what you think he wants and things like this,
Mm-hmm.
right? I had to conform a bit to fit into his family. You know what I mean? Where I just kind of lost pieces of myself along the way. And I'm not blaming anybody. I think that just happens when you're in a 16-year marriage, relationship, or whatever. I had to then come out of that and go, oh God, who am I again? Who am I? And I'll tell you, when I got my last name back, when I got Matucci back, and I saw it on my ID, it's like, oh yeah, I'm it's coming back to me now.
Yeah.
That name switch was a big one for me. But, I think just really shutting out everything, all of the voices, all of the things that people are saying to you, and going inside. And it takes a while, but just really try to realign.
Yeah.
What were you like when you were happy? What were you doing? Get back to that and try and get back into that
So true.
space.
You have to remind yourself of who you are.
Yeah.
And you cannot listen to what anybody says.
Because only you know.
Right. Your definition is your definition. You cannot listen to what somebody else says about you. If we did that, then none of us would be where we were at.
Yeah. You were going to say something, Rashida?
Yeah, actually.
She's like, I'm ready. I'm bursting at the seams
I
here.
know. I'm like, I think shut it off is like shut it down. Perfect. But I think it's hard when a person going through that, which we all did in life. And it's a very difficult situation, but you have to accept yourself. You just have to accept yourself. And day by day, there is no formula to change your mind. You just have to keep going and, keep smiling or doing little things and just keep going. And
It's turning trauma into triumph.
Yes.
I remember, as we're talking about this, I remember a specific time in my life where I was really lost. I was going through a nasty divorce and just a lot of different things. There was a lot of moving parts all at the same time. And I just felt so defeated, but I put on a brave face to everybody else. No one would see me cry or break down and crumble. And I remember this one particular time, I was in the shower and I just broke. I just broke. And I remember like just weeping, like this coming from the pit of me. And I could hear silently, let go, let go. And I remember thinking, I am trying to let go and I can't. And then when I calmed down, the last bit of that was of her. That right there was like, oh my goodness, the noise didn't let me hear that part. I've been trying to get rid of everything and let go of everything externally. But the woman that chose those circumstances and invited that into her life, I need to let her go. And I think sometimes when we're trying to rediscover self, it's also to say, I am rediscovering who she was. And I'm going to ask her the questions. What were you going through? What was unhealed? Why did you make these choices? And then I'm going to let her go. But then I'm also going to give myself grace to say, in order to let her go, I have to give birth to a new version of self. And she's not going to walk out as a full person. I'm going to have to nurture her to become something great. But if I can let her go, I get a clean slate as to who I get to be.
Right.
And I think that sometimes for me, that was the epiphany that I needed to just move forward. Let your heart break. Let it go. Let her go. Mourn her, love her, lose her. And then rediscover self in a way that where you could be your super, you put your cape on and you go back into the world as a superhuman, you know?
You turn the pieces into peace.
Yeah.
Or
So
you have to die and reborn.
Right, exactly.
Do your best of yourself.
Seriously, right? And giving birth is a process,
Yes,
right?
the pain.
So as we conclude, ladies, I would love for you all to share, each one of you, with the audience. Well, let me ask you this. What would you each tell your younger self? Think about a time in your life where you didn't have the wisdom and the knowledge and everything that you know today through what you've been through. What would be the advice she needed to hear from each and every one of you? What would you tell her?
I would tell her to love herself. And I would tell her that listen to your own definition of yourself. People are going to say whatever they want to say. People are going to believe their own version of what they want to believe about you or what they think your capabilities are. But if you stay true and authentic to your purpose and to who you know who you are, you're unstoppable. And if I could have told myself that in my 20s, I would have saved myself a lot of mishaps and heartbreak and trials, but obviously there's purpose to them.
That's true. Yeah. What about you, Miss Marie?
I think I would just say it's not such a big deal.
I
There
love
are
that.
things that I have become, maybe a little too upset over and hung on to longer than I should. And then I look back and go, oh God, why? Why didn't I just be done with that? So I think just not holding on to things and letting things just like the waves crash and move on.
Yeah.
Yeah. Don't take things too seriously.
love
It is
that.
not such a
There
big
were
deal.
some things where I was like, girl, you were overreacting. That was not that serious. I have bigger obstacles now. Yeah. What about you?
Yeah, I would say to her, you're okay. You're going to be okay. Just be happy and just be who you are. And just accept yourself. Everything is going to be fine. And do whatever you want to do and do it.
Yeah, with no apologies, right?
That's
Yes.
right.
I think what I would tell my younger self is cut your losses sooner.
Right.
Yes. Amen.
Stop mulling over a thing
Yes.
that you know
Yeah.
isn't working.
Yes.
Just trust yourself that if you cut your losses sooner,
Yes.
you have more opportunities for other things.
Amen.
I stuck around in a lot of things in my life far longer than
Me
they
too.
needed to be, you know?
agree.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
for sure.
ladies, I thank you. And I hope that
Thank you.
in future dates, we'll get some one-on-one time where we can really have each and every one of you really talk about your story, really share what you're doing, because I think each and every one of you are incredibly inspiring. I love that you guys we're all in the same tribe, in the same circle. I really, really do. I feel very uplifted and elevated when I'm around all of you. So
Our
thank
friend
you.
empire.
I
Remember?
know.
That's what I say.
Yes, yes. So I want to thank all of you out there for watching. If you have watched this entire program, please do not forget to hit the subscribe button, give us a thumbs up, send us your comments. I will have all of these ladies' handles so you can follow them and see what they're up to. And until next time, ciao.